Welcome to 12 House Beauty. Today's video is going to be about a question I get asked a lot lately, especially. It's how to, get your spark back after hitting rock bottom. And I get asked that because I'm a stroke survivor. For those of you who don't know, this channel is very new, so most of you who are coming across this video probably don't know that I am a stroke survivor, and I had a stroke in 2021. My stroke left me partially paralyzed, so I had to learn to walk again, to walk right again, and working on like my cognitive memory and things of that nature that affected me from the stroke. And this past April made 5 years. And so over time, it's been a long journey, the last 5 years. And a lot of people see me now in this fifth year and they're asking me, like, what have you done? Like, you're different. You got your spark back. You seem like yourself again. You actually seem different than before the stroke. And so I felt like I should make this a video because a lot of people go through losses that are unexpected, traumatizing, traumatic, and having to build yourself back up after going through rock bottom. Rock bottom tears you to pieces. It's kind of like it really dismantle the person you were prior to whatever the rock bottom or caused your rock bottom. It rewires your brain, and it will thrust you into a state of depression, right? And a lot of people ask me, what did I do to get out of that depression? Because a lot of people haven't faced what I faced, right? So it's kind of like a near-death experience, but not, because I experienced my stroke while I was asleep. So I don't actually remember. I don't have any recollection of the stroke. I just remember after, when I got up. And that's when everything started. But my life changed completely. So a lot of you guys may be going through stuff in your life where it hit you out of the blue. It's considered a tower moment in astrology, and tarot. So it's a tower moment. It's like lightning struck your life that was already curated or already, moving in a certain direction. And this lightning bolt just caught fire and burnt everything to the ground. So that's your tower moment. And so those can be delivered in so many ways, right? But how you get back or find your way back to yourself or carve out a new identity, to step into in a new era. And that is the reason for this video. So I'm just going to come and speak on a couple things that I use that I hope can help you move forward and get out of your rut and get back to your spark, right? Because your spark is your ashe. It is your personal energy, your power, right? And things in life can knock that power right out of you. It's just like being kicked in the stomach and the wind being knocked out of you, and you're trying to catch your breath, right? So now you're probably already had the wind kicked out of you, and now you're in the stage of catching your breath and standing up. And so when you're coming to stand up into this new identity or timeline that you find yourself on, you have to clear the table. That's the first thing I can say, because when you go through a rock bottom, there are going to be people that are there for you, and then there are going to be people that are not there for you. There'll be people that are contributing to this rock bottom, or people that aren't contributing to help you get out of that rock bottom, right? So the first thing you want to do is clear the table. When I had my stroke, I waited. So I gave my birthday. So I had the stroke in like April. My birthday was that following July. So I gave myself 12 months from that birthday. So 12 months from my birthday after the stroke is when I actually did my cut and clear. That gave time, right, for people to show me their true colors, show me who they are, show me if they're for me, and also how I was responding as well. Because, like I said earlier, once something traumatic happens to you, or you go through a big loss or something, your brain gets rewired. And within that year period, I was able to see who was there contributing to me growing out of my problem, or those that didn't contribute at all, right? Those that were, I would say, happy. If a person is not trying to help you when you are down to rock bottom, in any way, because it's not always like monetary, but it could be a shoulder to lean on, someone to call or check on you and things like that. If they aren't, it's as if they've gotten distance since your traumatic situation. I take that as you happy I'm there, right? You happy that I'm there, you want me to stay there, and you don't want to contribute at all to me recovering or getting my spark back. You're happy that the spark went out. So that can come in the form of lovers, friends, family, co-workers. And so when you see that they have that spirit on them, you have to cut them and clear them from your new chapter where you're heading, right? This is a rebirth. And so you want to be intentional with your new era, right? Your transformation. If something was taken from you, which caused you to lose a part of yourself, you have to be very intentional when you're rebuilding yourself. You can't allow what caused you to break or contributed to you breaking to be around when it's time to build and rebuild, right? There's no feasting off of what you've built this time, right? So I had to be clear about that. Like, no feelings. It had to be facts over feelings. So I had to get out of my emotional bag and all of the like nostalgic feelings I have for people, and be very logical on what people are showing me who they are, right? Because when somebody show you who they are, you need to believe them. If you don't believe them, they will show you way bigger when you really need them, right? And so I found myself finding out, in the rinse, like my mom used to say, if it don't get you in the wash, it'll get you in the rinse. So I didn't get caught in the wash. I wasn't being vigilant and mindful of my circle, people I was giving my time and my energy to. But in the rinse, in my downtime, after I had the stroke, I was able to see, okay, yeah, they gotta go. You know what I'm saying? They're not going with me into my new chapter. And so that also applies to places. So if you have to quit a job, move, or whatever, you have to do that, right? Because energy is so important, especially when you're healing. You're on a healing journey to rebuild yourself and step into a new timeline. And a lot of things, people, places, habits cannot go in order for you to be successful in this new timeline. It just can't go. And most of the time, your tower came because things needed to go. And usually it's because you aren't being obedient to the nudges and intuitive hits that certain things should end. Certain relationships, certain situations, things you're allowing in your life, things you're not paying attention to. These tower moments come to get you recalibrated into your life, right? Get you back on the right path, your life purpose, and get all of the distractions out of the way. The number one thing you have to do is be very obedient, right? The one reason a lot of us will find ourselves in a loop and constantly repeating things after a hard situation, you'll find yourself repeating that hard situation again. It's because the clear and the cleaning, cut and clear process was not done, right? So take friendships, for example. Say you have friendships that are just automatically brought with you every stage of your life just because of comfort or knowing someone, right? And you feel obligated to maybe keep this person around, loyal. But you guys have grown apart. You believe in this, they believe in that. Their character traits are this, and your character traits are that. And although you guys have this past that is, comfort, presently who you are and who you're walking into does not align with this person anymore. But because of, your loyalty or the comfort of having that person around, you've known them, they know you, you don't cut, right? When you go through traumatic situations or you hit your rock bottom in life, those type of relationships that really aren't rooted in healthy roots, they start to show themselves. So they start to rot, literally, because you get to see like, oh, we really don't have nothing in common, because now that I'm actively moving out of whatever bonded us together, could be trauma bonding, having the same traumas, understanding each other. And you're thinking that's your soul sister, soul brother, whoever, whole time. It's just a trauma bonding that's going on. So the moment you step into shoes of wanting to heal yourself and change, how you've been living, changing your circumstances, changing how you think, you'll see that those relationships will rot because they were not rooted in the same type of fertilizer, right? Not the same soil, not cut from the same fabric. Once you start seeing that, it will show you need to wean away from certain people, places, situations, things, all of that, right? And so I went through that. I cut people that were life partners, long time homies. Like you would think that you would be on the rocking in the rocking chair together in your old age, but I've cut people. I've cut people that I had, and again, I had to go with logic over emotions, because emotions is what keeps you tethered to people who no longer play a role in where you're going. And so when you're moving with logic, it's easier to take out that sword and cut, snip, and clear your table from people who are just taking up space, right? So next, getting clear about what you want and who you want to be and who you need to be to step into the role of who you want to be, right? Your higher self, who you see yourself as, what do you see yourself having, doing, being, right? And you have to audit yourself. You have to audit all of the weaknesses that right? You better than anybody, right? So it's like auditing yourself, calling out yourself, calling out the weaknesses, calling out the things that you don't want to repeat and loop into this new timeline that you're moving into, right? So it requires you to do shadow work. Shadow work is requiring honesty, brutal honesty with yourself, about why you haven't moved in a certain direction. What do you think is hindering you? A lot of forgiveness has to be done for yourself and for others, to others. Like, so you're forgiving others for hurting you. You're forgiving yourself for allowing it and for hurting yourself. For placing yourself in situations or staying too long. You have to forgive yourself. And your shadow work also takes you back to your inner child healing. I believe the moment I start like actively doing my inner child healing is what actually helped me start moving forward and getting out of my rut and, getting towards who you see now, someone who would not even get in front of the camera because I had so much inner work to do. And the stroke just really put a mirror up and showed me I wasn't as confident as I thought I was, that the confidence that I was moving off was more superficial because I wasn't around people who wanted to get deep, right? So when you're not around people that want to get deep and you're a deep person, it forces you to play a role of shallow. So you put on your shallow mask and you do the shallow work, shadow, conversations and whatever with people, right? But when you don't have anybody around and you have to do the shadow work to get to the next goal in your life, because see, you've gotten rid of, at this point, when you get to this point, you've gotten rid of all your trauma dumping, tendencies, and the people that are trauma dumping on you, because you've already identified those as things that need to go, right? So you no longer have a audience to trauma dump or exchange trauma stories with. So you got to get real with yourself, and you sit with your own traumas and you dissect those traumas, and you understand that a lot of those traumas that you're carrying around have no power. And the only power that it has is the power that you're giving it. So your will to want to be different and to have more is going to give you the strength you need to get through this shadow work, because shadow work is not easy. It is hard. It takes people years to get through shadow work, if at all, in their lifetime. 5 years in and I'm still doing shadow work, but I've done enough to where my self-concept has changed, my self-confidence has returned, and I'm able to resume, if not better than I was before. And so shadow work, I will say, get you a journal, right? Because I'm 12th house Mercury. I love to write. I write all of my things out. So that's how I get things out, because if one thing the stroke taught me is that you cannot be holding things in. You have to deal with your grievances. You have to deal with your self-concept. You have to. And if you have trouble doing that, or you have trouble talking to people, you don't trust people, things like that, get you a journal and start writing. All right, just write. Get things off your chest, get things out of your mind, and that's helping you to release. Write down things that people have hurt you, right? The things that keep reoccurring and triggering you in your adult life, in your life right now. Go to the root of that. Why am I being triggered? What caused me from the beginning to start this as a trigger? And that's what you need to go. You need to go back and dig that up. It could have been a 5-year-old wound, right? Your feelings could have got hurt at 7. You don't know, because you haven't went back to see. You have to dissect every little trigger. That's the main thing I could say. Your shadow work is dissecting your triggers, right? Why am I triggered? What can I do to alleviate this and make sure it never returns? Let's just get rid of it. And in order to get rid of something, you have to see it. You have to acknowledge it's there, and you have to get out of denial and be truly logical when you're making a decision on what you're going to attack. All right. I would say attack everything that pops up. If it popped up, it's for you to heal it and release it. And that's why I know healing is just it's not an overnight one and done thing. You can think you're healed. Here I am 5 years later, can think that I'm healed. And honey, something can trigger me, right? But that is for me to go, once I'm triggered, is for me to go into my journal, write down the trigger, and then go back and see when and where that trigger began and why, and uproot it up out of there, and make sure that it doesn't return, because triggers are hindering you. Triggers are your way of knowing what is hindering you, what is stopping you, what needs to be fixed, what needs to be replaced with something better, right? A better option that's going to move you forward instead of pulling you back or looping you into, the thoughts, the feelings, all of that, your brain doesn't know the difference. So every time that you relive something that is not happy and it takes you down emotionally and spiritually, energetically, your brain doesn't know that that was the past. Your brain is reliving that as if it's now. And so you got to get the gunk out of your trunk. You got to get the gunk out of here, because the gunk out of here is what affects here. It affects your spirit, it affects your energy, right? The brain does not forget. It's like a little snapshot. Your eyes are the camera, right? Your ears are the recorder, and it's always picking up all day, every day. And it doesn't like just loop like your cloud, right? It's not looping every 3 days. If you don't go in there and you don't clear out the cache, it's gonna be stuck with a lot of trauma and a lot of things that you're gonna have to deal with later on, right? And so me knowing that now, I can look back and see how it hindered me a lot in relationships with trust issues. It just bled out in different ways, right? So it didn't come out completely how it was given on me, how it was put on me, because what I see when somebody hurts a child or violates a woman or a child, a man, anybody, if you're violated sexually or anything like that, it is to traumatize you. It's to fracture you. It's to fracture your energy. I look at it as an assignment sent by the enemy to keep you distracted, to get you off your path, to traumatize you so you don't even focus on your path. You don't even focus on what you're here for. You don't even get to grow and rise into who you're supposed to be, because the moment we're here, there's distractions sent at us from childhood on up, right? And that's to keep us from being on our path. If you've ever read Napoleon Hill's Outwitting the Devil, you'll know what I mean. It's the drifters and the non-drifters. And the moment we're born, there's people sent on assignment to make sure we become a drifter, a person that drifts off their path and does bullshit instead of doing what they're supposed to do, right? And our job is to identify the drifters that are sent into our life, the people, places, and things that are sent into our life to affect us in a way to make us a drifter, and to intentionally get ourselves back on the right path to become a non-drifter, to be focused and purpose-driven, right? And your shadow work is the number one thing that's going to help you get there. That's the one thing that helped me get there, because I had a lot of downtime. I had nobody around, and I had a lot of healing. So in that time, I was writing, well, trying to write. So in my therapy, I was learning to write again, right? So I had a journal, went on Amazon, bought me a journal, and that is where it began. So it went from scribbling, looked like a little scribbled chicken scratch, to full, sentences. But I knew it was releasing what was going on inside of me, right? And there was a lot of guilt and shame wrapped around just my illness, like my physical ability was different. I looked different. I could no longer do what I was doing prior. So I had to come to terms with that. And so you may have to come to terms with what has actually happened, what loss it was. Maybe you went through a divorce. You're going to have to come to terms with what led to that divorce, what part you played in it, what part they played in it, why you let certain things slide, why you allowed certain things, why you didn't leave sooner. All of the questions, they have to get answered, right? And you have to release any guilt that you feel, because the thing is with guilt, it'll keep you stuck in the past. It'll keep you stuck in that same situation that you're trying to release yourself from. Don't regret, because you can't go back and change it. So in order to release it with love, right? Enough good energy so it doesn't return, is to know that everything happened for a reason. It made you to who you are. You don't regret it, right? You see where you fell short. You can't change it, but moving forward, this is what you would do. And sometimes you have to write it in that way in your journal. right? So the brain can see, you have a solution and you can move forward. And it's like clearing. You're cutting and you're clearing things. When people do you wrong, write it down. Get it out. I always say get it out, because I was a person who loved to journal, but I wasn't an honest journaler, right? So I would journal what, surface level stuff, because I always had this thing like, if something happened to me, somebody could read my journals, right? But then I learned, like, okay, things you don't want people to read, you write it out and then you burn it. You light it a flame, you watch it burn, and it's never returned. It's gone. And it's a mental exercise, right? That helps you stronger. And then the more you do it, the more you'll see a shift in your energy, a shift in your frequency, the things that are coming to you, right? The people, places, things, right? The energy shifts. And as you release and forgive, it is replaced with happiness and light and abundance, right? And so the first step at getting your spark back, I'm going to wrap up this video, is to do the cut and the clear, right? And then get clear about what you want to be, who you want to be, and what you need to do to step into that, into those shoes, step into that timeline, and shift, your life from hitting rock bottom to now seeing your way out by clawing your way up, like not staying stuck in that pit, but actually finding little stones to pull yourself up and get up out of there. And then as you keep doing that, you'll start to see, okay, I'm getting closer. And the steps become natural. The next steps will become natural to you. But the first things first is like getting yourself out of that rut, and not like blaming yourself, because blame will keep you there so long, and regret and things of that nature, holding on to things that's not yours to hold on to, or things you should have been let go of, right? And take it from me, I have had a hard time releasing things. I am a Cancer stellium in the 12th house. I hold on to a lot in my subconscious, and I believe a lot of that caused me to have the stroke, because I dealt with a lot of loss, and I never mourned, right? I just went on about my day, but it was affecting me subconsciously, and it was reflecting in my life, whether I wanted to believe it or not. But having that stroke sat my ass down. And once I was sat down, I had no choice but to see and be real with myself about where I was and how I'm going to get, like, I knew I was the only person that was going to be able to get me up out of this situation. And so never be ashamed, and never be scared to ask for help either. I had got a therapist during that time. The first 2 months after I came home, I had got me a therapist, and I was done with the therapist and within 2 months, because I just needed a little help, because I wasn't getting that from my intimate circle. The intimate circle, it was weird. It's a weird energy. And the time when you think people will show up for you is when they show you who they are. And it's a gift, not a curse. It's a gift to show you they can't go with you in your next chapter. They're acting like that on purpose. That was destined for them to act that way. Don't resent it. Be grateful for it and release them. Release them, because it's opening up you. And as you open up, it opens up the door for you to connect with better people. Better people that will help you on your journey and not hinder you and try to keep you off of your journey. People that would clap for you, that you are, finding your way back to yourself, not people that go silent, when you need them the most. And so that's what, shadow work does. Shadow work helps you to see the fractures in your life, the fractures in yourself, and why certain people are even there. A lot of people are there because they're a mirror to your trauma, right? And once you heal the trauma and you release the trauma, those people get released as well as a byproduct. It just happens. So that is my first video in this series of getting your spark back after rock bottom. From me, stroke survivor, that's coming out, getting my spark back. And I just want to share with you guys what I'm doing, what I have done that has gotten me to this point. And so I'll see you guys in my next video. If you found this helpful at all, please leave any comments down below, and I will see you in the next video. Until next time, peace, love, and happiness.